So, do
Yeah.
you remember your first meeting with Arif? And what was your first impression about him?
I mean, he's a determined, young guy for me. He's a young guy. He's like a younger brother now to me. But the
Mm.
first time that I had a chat with him through a friend, he was very dedicated to his craft, to his sport. He knew that he could make it, that within India, he is one of the best. I think seeing their drive is what motivates me every day even. Like when I look at them, I'm like, ये करना चाहिए क्योंकि ये करना चाहते हैं and there should be people behind them. Talking to athletes and talking to donors, everybody expects, like I was talking earlier also, everybody somehow expects uh, each and every athlete that they support to go to a marquee event. And my question to a lot of people is those who give to education, why don't they expect all the kids to go to Harvard or IM or IIT when they are giving money to them? Very, very important thing that one should have. And when people donate to that, somehow people don't equate it with that value ever. They
Mm.
always equate it to ये कंपटीशन में गया या नहीं, ये जीता या नहीं, इसका क्या हुआ, अगर ये नहीं जीता तो हम हमें क्यों देने चाहिए इनको पैसे.
Hi, friends. Welcome to Prakhar Talks Sports. Winter Olympics are getting underway in a few days' time. This time, the Winter Olympics are being hosted by Italy. The Winter Olympics are called Milano Cortina Winter Olympics because the Milan and the Cortina region of Italy are the two primary areas where the Winter Olympics will be held. Unfortunately, here in India, we won't be able to see these Winter Games because there are no official broadcasters. And why is that? Because India's participation at these Winter Games is very minuscule. Only two athletes have qualified to represent India at Winter Olympics. One is Stanzip Lundup, and another is Mohammad Arif Khan. So, in this episode of Prakhar Talks Sports, I will be focusing on Mohammad Arif Khan. I've already interviewed Mohammad Arif once. This time I won't be interviewing him because as I speak, he is in Italy and busy with his preparations for winter games. But I will be talking to someone who has seen Arif's journey very up close. She is Vasundhra Magotra. She runs a philanthropy organization called Saanjha. And in Arif's tough time, Vasundhra and Saanjha has backed Arif. And because of their support, Arif managed to qualify for the 2022 Beijing Olympics and then again for the 2026 Winter Olympics. And not only Arif, Sanja has supported many other athletes as well. And unfortunately, not many people know about Sanja and its work and its beautiful work that they have done in supporting multiple athletes in different sports. So this is the right time to know Arif's journey, to know Sanja's journey, and to know the lady behind all this, Vasundhra Magotra. So, in this episode, you will get to know about Arif, you will get to know about Sanja, you will get to know the lady behind all this, Vasundhra Magotra. So, without wasting much time, let's get talking to Vasundhra Magotra. So, ma'am, thank you so much for joining me for this interview. Before we get down to before we dig deep into the topic for this podcast, which is winter sports journey of Muhammad Arif Khan, Sanja's journey. Could you, for the benefit of my audience who don't know you, introduce yourself?
Sure. Thank you so much for inviting me, Prakhar.
Thank you.
I'm very regular podcasts and interviews because I don't
Sure.
think I have a way with words. So I'm going to
Okay.
introduce myself nonetheless.
Okay.
I'm Vasundhra Magotra,
Yeah.
and I run an NGO called Saanjha Charitable Foundation.
Mm,
And we've been running it for almost 3 years now.
mm,
And our only purpose is to change communities through sports. And for that, we look at how we can help create role models in those
mm,
communities,
mm,
athletes, kids who already have the potential, and to fund them at the right time during their journey. When the fall off happens, generally the middle part of the journey, that's where we help them. So this is what I do. I'm based out of Singapore, but Sanja is uh, an India registered NGO, and most of the work happens over there.
Okay. So, but I understand Sanja is one of the many things that you do beyond Sanja.
No, actually, Sanja is the only thing that I do now
Okay.
for
All right.
1.5 years. Yeah.
Okay. Also purely dedicated to Sanja as of now.
Purely. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So, what inspired you to set up Sanja?
It's a long story, but long story short, it was Arif, to be very honest. Arif was introduced to me through a friend in 2019, and he was still Arif was wondering if he could make it to Olympics, and that has been his dream.
Mm,
So, the friend reached out to me. We tried starting a crowd funding page for him, which we did eventually, and there was some funding that started coming from there. Then there was a lot of effort that was made towards PR. Then friends and friends of friends, everybody joined the movement in certain way. And then Arif also got support because he's a great athlete. He also got support from other places. And he was able to make it to Olympics 2022. And I think that was one of the biggest highlights for me. I was working with uh, Discovery at the time. I supported Discovery Southeast Asia. At the time, I supported Arif. And then when I left Discovery, the transition was, there is a time when you start thinking, what do you want to do? And this one data point I extrapolated and I said that I'm getting great, mental, emotional benefit from doing something like this by
mm,
helping an athlete. And we started with the journey. I was, in fact, in Kashmir. I was trekking with my son over there and met up with Arif. Arif introduced me to more athletes. And the more the stories I heard, the more determined I became that we have to do something about it. And I understand that there are a lot of NGOs, there are a lot of organizations that are working towards it. One more might not make a huge difference, but will make an additional difference. And
mm.
that's how we.
Okay, so spotlighting RF is one of the main points of this episode. So, do you remember your first meeting with RF,
Oh, it was a
and what was
call.
your first impression about him?
I mean, he's a determined, young guy.
Mm,
For me, he's a young guy. He's like a younger brother now to me. But the
mm,
first time that I had a chat with him through a friend, he was very dedicated to his craft, to his sport. Uh,
mm,
he knew that he could make it, that within India, he is one of the best. And he also had the conviction and the necessary hard work to
mm,
go about. So, I think the first thing that struck about him was his honesty and his determination that he wanted to make it that big in life in terms of sports. And he was dedicated to sports. He was very honest to his craft. That's what I remember. But I also remember that during the conversation, he was very honest. I mean, you've already spoken to Arif a few times
yeah,
now.
yeah,
Yeah. You know how honest he is, and
yes,
but that doesn't mean that he's weak in any way. He's actually very determined and honest, and
yeah,
started talking about the reality of the situation, what is happening, and all of that. And at that point of time, someone who did not know much about skiing, till date, I don't think I know much about it, but uh, who didn't know much about the sport, I started looking at the sport and I realized how expensive it is. The other thing that my eyes opened up to, though I am from J&K, from Jammu and
Yes.
Kashmir, my parents are in Jammu, my entire family is in Jammu. I did
Mm,
not know that we had such great players coming from there. So that was also
okay.
another that had happened. Yeah.
Mm. In even in now my journey, since I have gone solo, started talking to athletes, the point that you have just mentioned, that Jammu and Kashmir is producing some really good talent in sports. That itself, I myself have realized that some really phenomenal talents that are coming from that part of India, and unfortunately, uh, not many people know the kind of sporting talent that Jammu and Kashmir is
I think
producing.
because Jammu and Kashmir is also, well, Kashmir specifically has been a vulnerable territory. So for it to open up, for athletes to start coming out, I think it has been a long process. While the talent exists, sometimes the opportunities don't come that easy. And again, that's why Sanja came
Mm,
in place, right? We generally help athletes who come from vulnerable communities or territories like such,
mm,
because opportunity is not as much as you would think. The talent is amazing, but the opportunity doesn't exist so much. In
mm.
fact, on that, even our kayaker, Mohsin Ali, right?
Yeah.
When I met him first time, and that was through Arif, he was so confident that he can do more just because he had seen Arif achieving something. And that is the role modeling. And that's my dog who's joined us
Okay.
now.
Okay.
So that is the kind of role
Yeah.
modeling that
Mm,
I could see uh, at that instant, and I knew that when these kids see these youth who are or these athletes who are playing at a district level or a state level, they start seeing that someone from their own community has achieved something big, and they are
mm,
being lauded for who they are. They also
mm,
start to aspire, and I still remember Mohsin saying that, आरिफ भैया ने कर लिया तो मैं भी कर सकता हूँ. I
okay.
believe I can do it. He's my role model. He's my mentor. And today, you know that he won
Yeah.
the gold, right? And
Yes.
he was in the National Day Parade. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it has been a journey. It has been a 3 years journey, but it has been amazing.
So it is important for sports to constantly produce role models. One person inspires 10 others, and keep on inspire 50 others. And that's how the sporting community.
I think what also happens is, and I'm not putting education down because I'm not putting education down in any way, but if one
Mm,
reaches Harvard, uh, some kids can believe that they can go to Harvard or to a Stanford, to an IIT, to an IM, right? I come from Jammu.
yes.
When I was growing up, I hadn't heard about IMs. There
Okay.
wasn't much exposure around that time where I was growing up. But when you
Mm,
start seeing what others are
mm,
doing, start
mm,
believing. Again, not everybody believes because education is supposed to be hard. Somehow, for the communities like these, sports comes naturally. So when
yeah.
somebody achieves something in sport,
Mm,
I think there is more drift towards that rather than as much you would think would happen to education. Education is very important, but supplementing it with sports is even more important.
okay. So coming back to Arif, so during his qualification process for the 2022 Beijing Olympics, Sanja was closely involved in that process. So what were those days like?
I mean, it has been his journey, but to be
Mm,
very honest, more than ours. I think it was all about raising funds for us. Our job was raising funds for him, and that's what we did to create a buzz around him. That's there. In fact, one of my friends who was very close to him, he actually supported him quite a bit. There are stories that only Arif should tell you and not me.
okay.
So,
Yeah.
but when he reached Beijing, I remember that clearly that, it's like someone, your own kid has done something amazing. I think that
Yeah.
feeling was great. when he was walking with national flag, India's flag.
Mm,
I mean, I can't express that feeling. There are no words for that kind of a feeling. Um of course, when it comes to skiing and winter sports, India still has to reach a certain mark and a certain level.
mm,
I think if there's a lot of support, but just reaching Olympics has been a huge thing. And today he's in Milan right now, and he is going to be a two-time Olympian. I
yeah.
mean, I
Not
mean, it's a
many
great
can achieve
journey.
that feat. Not many can achieve that feat in Summer Olympics, let alone Winter Olympics. In my research tells me hardly 15 or 16 people from India have got the opportunity to go to Winter Olympics and play there, and he's one of those. And he's now going to represent India for the second time for the second time.
Yes.
So yeah, yes. And when I had a conversation with him last year, he said, he said a phrase that he he really felt proud that he's a one in a billion, and which is statistically true. Among the billion of us, he was the only one who was carrying India's tricolor at the Beijing Olympics, and now he along with the other athlete, they are the two people participating at those winter games. From your understanding of working with Arif, work and supporting other athletes in Jammu and Kashmir, why, what is holding India behind in winter sports?
I mean, it's the lack of infrastructure. It's also not something that we have laser focused on as yet. I think there is a lot of work that is being done by government. I can't disregard that. I think there is a lot of work. The latest budget also puts some light towards it. It has been great. The focus has been a few other sports at this point of time. Building the infrastructure and all would require a few years. And I know there are now lobbies or people who are actually, pushing that particular thing. So I think it wasn't a focus. And now, once we have a few winners from there, perhaps there'll be some focus, or if not 100%, there'll be at least a 50% focus towards that. If not 50%, at least a 25%. I think that's also good enough. But with India also having Khelo India Winter Games and all, I think there is potential that is building up. And once the potential starts growing and you see enough numbers, I'm sure the infrastructure will also start building up. I'm hoping and keeping my fingers crossed on that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. So there's I see that there is some it wasn't there, but yes, government and private organizations are now also focusing their energies, their resources towards bringing the infrastructure around winter games as well. I last year in August I traveled to Dehradun where I interviewed Eklavya,
yeah.
the short track speed skater. He was also aiming to qualify for these Winter Olympics. Unfortunately, he could not, but he's determined to get there
He's a
someday.
young kid. I think he has many years to him, and
Ahead of
he
him.
will,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
he'll
So
keep improving,
at that
improving.
point of the at that point of the time for the Asian Trophy in which he participated, the entire rink was revamped, and it was so good to see infrastructure like that coming up in Dehradun. And so yeah, there is a focus to develop
Yeah.
infrastructure, and
Arif- Yeah, go
even
ahead.
Arif in his conversation told that when he was growing up and he was in his teenage, that he used to feel that there's not enough infrastructure to
Correct.
for this talent, but that talent doesn't get the infrastructure to practice their sports.
I think that's true for a lot of sports, not only winter sports. Winter sports somehow goes even below the ranking in some way or the other. There
Mm,
are a lot of sports that are not getting the proper infrastructure as yet. And I think India is a hero worshipping nation. The moment you will have some
yeah,
heroes coming out from particular sport is when there'll be, limelight. It'll be in limelight, or there'll be focus over it. So I'm hoping that but I really love, the Khelo India mission and all of that has been introduced. I think there
yeah,
has been a lot of focus towards sports. And
Mm,
I hope it just increases. Not everything that came out of it is something that everybody would agree with, but I think it's a
mm,
step in the positive direction, or step or two in the
mm.
positive direction now.
Yeah, because of those Khelo India games, uh, every few months we have every few months we have some or the other version of Khelo India games. Either there are Khelo India beach games, Khelo India winter games, Khelo India water games. So it
Correct.
Khelo India youth games, college level games. So it keeps the youth involved in different sports and
Yeah,
yes.
a culture of sports is being built at a very grassroots level now.
Uh,
The system always has some problems or the others. We are a huge nation, but all these things will lead to an active India for sure. For sure.
mm,
I'm very
mm,
positive about it. And
okay.
I hope I'm right.
Yes, you are. So Arif is one of the multiple athletes that Sanja supports, Sanja backs. So can you tell us about other athletes that Sanja has backed in last 2, 3 years? I know a few, but if you could tell for my audience, and there are across multiple sports, and my
Yeah.
research tells me.
Correct. See, so our entire work is about sports for development. So we are very sports type agnostic. So we are looking at creating role models, and it doesn't really matter, what sport it is. If that particular community or that particular region is looking at a certain sports type and that's natural to them or organic to them, we help. We try to help them as much as
Hmm,
possible. We
hmm,
started with Kashmir because we started with Arif, and we he introduced us to a few athletes, to the kayakers, to Adil Teli, who's the cyclist. Actually, everybody, all of these were introduced to us by Arif first.
Oh,
And
acha.
yes.
Okay. Okay.
So, and what has happened is because for us, our athletes are family. So, all these 3 years, what has happened is each and every athlete generally spreads the word about us. And we've got a
Hmm,
lot of athletes from, and a lot of interest from Jammu and Kashmir.
hmm,
Then we moved on to Ranchi because someone reached out to us, and we went to
hmm,
Ranchi to meet up with some badminton players. Today we
hmm,
have one of our badminton players who's actually gone to Gopi Chand Academy, and we are still supporting him, paying his fees,
hmm,
monthly fees.
hmm,
But he is ranking well now. His
hmm,
world ranking has gone up. We actually adopted one of the institutes in Kupwara in Kashmir. So a lot of work is done with individuals one on one. So when we get funding, it's very clear as to where the funds are going.
hmm,
But there are two academies that we have adopted. One is in Kupwara and one is in Mumbai. So one is acrobatic gymnasts. They have coaching and support for acrobatic gymnasts, and these kids are coming from vulnerable communities, slum kids who are actually now topping the charts for at national games. They've won, I think, one gold and two silver, if I'm not wrong, or two bronze recently.
hmm,
They are national level champions. Um,
hmm,
uh, the kid who we started supporting came through a friend's help,
hmm.
uh, because her grandson is that kid, and that kid
Okay.
had a lot of talent, and she was generally talking about it. If he could get some support, the
Hmm,
grandmother was in support of the kid, and we started funding him for just one of the events for a competition exposure, and we saw that there's something more that we can do over there, and we started
hmm,
supporting the academy. So we raised funds to get the harness and other things in place, because
hmm,
uh, they used to practice on something like, जैसे वो शादी के गद्दे होते हैं ना, it was that
hmm.
flimsier system. They had their heart in place, but funds are not easy to get for
Not,
things that are not Olympic sports or famous
yeah,
sports. So
yeah.
it's very difficult to get funds for something like that. So we did that with them. Today they have 12 to 15, in fact more than that, but kids are actually representing. Two of them we fund regularly. So this is how we've supported around 70 plus athletes by now in 3 years.
Okay.
Trust me, I know with elite athletes, it becomes a very expensive journey, and there are institutes who are doing that. We believe that we are coming in where nobody is actually looking at these athletes and they can drop out. So if we can
Mm,
help them around that time, they might
mm,
become elite athletes. If nothing else, they will
mm,
inspire two or three other youth from their own community to adopt
mm.
sports. Not more.
Okay, so do you believe India needs more medals first or more role models?
I believe in role models, but I think
Yeah,
it's a chicken situation.
I knew
I
that
really,
answer was coming from you.
yeah, I really
Yeah.
believe it is that, but I've also started seeing in my last 3 years, I've also started understanding that everybody wants, the athletes that they are funding or putting even a bit of donation behind, they want them to go to marquee events. And I don't think that changes the community much. That just brings glory to our nation.
Yeah.
But it's a long game that I believe that we are trying to play where not only the community gets out of this ultra poverty and substance abuse and all by creating role models, but also there'll be a
Mm,
health pipeline that would be created as we go along.
okay.
But it's not an immediate effect that you're going to see. We've been very lucky, to be honest, that we had an Arif, we had Mohsin, we had Jyotika Datta, who's a fencer. We had Madhvi, thanks to you.
Mm,
And,
mm,
we have a parachuter, a paraswimmer. We've got various of these people. Somehow they come and they bring a lot of glory at national level and international level. But for me, that is a happy byproduct, and that is not the only result that we are looking at. So
That is
our
not the
result.
end product. That is not the end point.
That is not the end point. The end point is how we help, reduce poverty and substance abuse, how we foster a healthier and more active India, and how equity and equality happens in sports. So it's not
Mm,
only about equality, but how equity happens in sports, and especially for communities that are underserved. So.
mm. Okay. So, but uh, Sanja is doing its part in supporting the athletes, but people who support the athletes also need a support. Okay, so what kind of support is Sanja looking at this stage? You have been 3 years into the journey. You have used the word family. So the Sanja's family has grown to 70 odd athletes across multiple sports. They are supporting in badminton, gymnastics, winter sports, chess boxing, one of the lesser known sports in India. But so what at this stage, what is Sanja's need? What kind of support Sanja needs? Because I understand Sanja is doing a phenomenal work with a lot of good intention, but it can't be full. Those goals will not be met if Sanja's it doesn't get the right kind of support.
No, that's true. I think, like any early stage NGO, we've generally funding has always been a problem for most of the NGOs. We've been blessed that we have family and friends who've been supporting our journey. We have Nanavati Foundation that actually helps us. Nanavati, he's been supporting us since last 2.5, 3 years now. When we started our journey, immediately after that, we were introduced to Nanavati ji, and he's supported our journey as much as he can. And I think in 3 years, what we have been able to do is that we have a proof of concept in place where we are saying that if this happens, right? If you create a role model, these are the other athletes that would be added on to the journey, and these are athletes that are also now representing their state or nation, right? So we have that proof of concept. Now we need to scale because there's a lot of demand. There are a lot of athletes that come to us, but we have to hold off primarily because of the lack of funds. Because we are a very small organization and we are hoping to get funding, CSR support, and other things that we are working towards. And it's a long journey, but Sanja will continue to keep doing what it is doing, whether on a smaller scale or a larger scale. That is something that I am determined about. Yeah.
Hmm. Okay, so in 3 years of you starting Sanja, you working closely your with these athletes, what have been your five key learnings, if I may ask?
Five key learnings about sports in general. I think my topmost learning has been that sports psychology is not so valued in India.
Okay,
And
that's interesting.
yeah, and I think that is something that should be introduced. A lot of, again, organizations are working. We work very closely with something called the Nudge Sports. Again, they've been kind enough because I went to them and I told them that, I need support. And they were kind enough to say, okay, how can we help? And they extended their sports psychologist to us. And in fact, for Adil Teli's journey in Australia, and it was quite,
Mhm.
you knew what all happened, right? The
I knew
cycle,
it was
the
cycle broke
yeah,
down.
all
He
the
reached out
drama
to
that
people.
happened.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Uh, I think for him, it was very important. And what they had done was they provided him with one-on-one support, a sports psychologist. Generally, we do mass sports psychology sessions. So in Sanja, we've
Okay.
find four things, and this is what I've identified after talking to athletes. Athletes don't need mass disbursement programs. Like
Okay.
you cannot see that, acha, ye nutrition de diya, ye equipment de diya, let's prepare a package and give it to all. And I feel that happens because every athlete, and especially if they're coming from different sports, have different requirements of nutrition, of equipment, of the kind of money that they require. My state level athletes don't require that much money like my national
Hmm.
level athlete or my
Yeah.
international level.
Yeah.
So what we realized over a period of time, that these four pillars are very important and very basic, and if we are able to serve that right, and other things we are able to do through partnerships, I think it'll be golden for us. So
Hmm.
nutrition, sports equipment, competition exposure, and sports
Hmm.
psychology are the four pillars that Sanja is working around. And we've done partnership when it comes to sports psychology. We are also in agreement with a few sports institutes, where if one of our athletes reaches a certain level, we pass them on. So Sanja is very clear about that. This entire journey of ours is about the athlete and not about us. The glory has to be theirs and not ours.
Hmm.
We are a conduit through which they will go, and we are happy to be that.
Hmm.
So, sports psychology is what I was telling you, the four pillars that we've defined, because
Yeah.
there's very competition exposure that happens because they're
Hmm.
not funded, or they don't have money to, go and even attend the events.
Events.
Uh,
Yeah.
Equipment again is something, if there was more even second-hand, good quality equipments that were available at a certain price in the market, I think it would have been great. Or I have not found something like that as yet.
Okay.
Um, Third, I think these kids, and especially the kids who are coming from tough backgrounds, the
Hmm.
kind of grit that these kids have, the kind of hard work that they put behind, uh, it's something different. It is very, very motivational. There are things that I have seen on the court. 5 in the morning, the badminton kids, 8-year-old to 18-year-old, they are just warming up on the court and waiting for the coach to come by 5:30, right? And they all are in it. It is everything for them. And then not to be supported for a dream is, I think, kind of a bummer. And but I see they all are very motivated. City kids, I won't talk about India, but um, I've seen a lot of kids who are into soccer and other places who come
Hmm.
from, well-to-do families like ours and all.
Hmm.
I see passion, but I don't see that kind of motivation to make, which means it's make or break situation for them, right?
Yeah. For them. Yeah. Hun-
For
Agreed.
them,
101. It
it will
is.
take them from point A to point G, perhaps, right?
Yes.
Whereas the
Yeah.
kid who is coming from a well-supported family, again, nothing
Hmm.
against that. My kid is one
Yeah.
of them.
Yeah.
So,
Y-
but for them, it is from point A to point B or point C. Very
Yeah.
few kids I've seen who come from well-supported families who have the same passion.
Hmm.
The similar drive to prove themselves, because here they're trying to prove themselves, they're trying to get beyond what they were born into, and sports is
Hmm.
a medium for that.
For them, like succeeding in sports can open a whole arena of opportunities. The kind of background they have come from, the kind of struggles they have seen right from their childhood. So they see that sport is the arena where they can succeed, and through that they can keep on growing. So it becomes a kind of a do or die will be a harsh phrase, but they are in a such similar kind of situation. The sports becomes their
It's
only.
a matter of dignity for them in certain ways. When they win something, you have to see how the community light ups or how
Yeah.
important they become in that community, even that for them, for their
Mm,
parents. I mean, these again are the good byproducts of what hard work they're putting in. But
mm,
there is something more to it, right? And that's
mm,
why you
mm,
can see the drive. That is a different kind of drive. I think seeing their drive is what motivates me every day, even. Like when I look at them, I'm like, ये करना चाहिए क्योंकि ये करना चाहते हैं, and there should be people behind them. So in whatever way, small ways,
mm,
big ways. I think fifth, I've seen talking to athletes and talking to donors, everybody expects, like I was talking earlier also, everybody somehow expects uh, each and every athlete that they support to go to a marquee event. And my question to a lot of people is those who give to education, why don't they expect all the kids to go to Harvard or IM or IIT when they are giving money to that? Uh, and I think that somehow that shift is not happening as quickly as you want because you're
mm,
helping them being active. And that is a very important value that they need to have as much as
mm,
education. So
mm.
education leads to livelihood. And I think it comes from a few things because sports doesn't naturally lead to a livelihood, but
Yeah,
naturally leads to, even if it doesn't lead to a livelihood, it leads to a better life, an active life.
absolutely.
So
Yeah.
important.
Uh,
Everybody is talking, the millions and the billions that are being spent on longevity
yeah,
nowadays,
yeah.
with people spending money around
Mm,
longevity and going to gyms and all. This is a natural way, and this is a value that everybody should have. And sports
mm,
is very important. The kind of, it's a very very, very important thing that one should have. And when people donate to that, somehow people don't equate it with that value ever. They
mm,
always equate it to ये कंपटीशन में गया या नहीं, ये जीता या नहीं, इसका क्या
mm,
हुआ, अगर ये नहीं जीता तो हम हमें क्यों देने चाहिए इनको पैसे. Those are the kind of questions that I have heard a lot. One more that I don't know if there was a rant I did on LinkedIn because I was just so pissed that I'm
yeah,
always asked, जब दुनिया में इतने बड़े issues हैं, when there are such
yeah,
big issues in the world, why should we look at sports?
yeah.
So, those are the things, and there is a long rant of mine on LinkedIn, so I don't want to rant about it
Uh,
again.
okay.
But not knowing that itself is a question on you, that why you
Yeah.
don't know that this is important. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and sports is just, I believe it teaches you so many things. It's a metaphor for life. It old cliched way, but it teaches you so many things. It keeps you determined. It keeps you focused. It keeps you inspired. It inspires you. So yeah, even I. So okay. So to conclude this conversation, you recently posted on LinkedIn that Arif's journey closely mirrors Sanja's journey, right from 2022 onwards, even before that, and now that he's in a few days' time, he's going to represent India for the second time at Winter Olympics. Unfortunately, I've already recorded my introduction. In an introduction, I said that we here in India we won't be able to see Winter Olympics because there are no broadcasters. But somehow, if people manage to follow Arif's journey, why should people follow Arif's journey? What makes him special? And the person who has supported him through his thick and thin, why should people track Arif's journey at 2026 Winter Olympics? And what makes him so special? I
I mean,
understand.
he said he is one in a billion, and we can see
Yeah.
that time now. So, if he is one in a billion, then I think it merits. Why you should watch it? I think for India and for Winter Olympics, if you follow sports, if you have the pride of your country, you should be supporting your fellow countrymen when they are alone over there representing your country with the flag, standing tall.
Mhm.
Also, it's a great sport to watch.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
Great sport to watch. I watched it in 2022 also.
Okay.
We had broadcast here in
Ah,
Singapore. I
okay.
watched it is fun watching that. Watch it for
Yes.
fun, nothing else. And that there
Yes.
is one representative over there.
Mm. It would have been so pun intended. It would have been so cool to watch him skiing. But unfortunately, here in India, we don't have any broadcasters showing us those winter games. I would have also felt really proud. I've interviewed him. I guess after that interview, he has not given many media interviews leading up to his participation in winter games. So I would have been really happy to see the person that I've talked carrying India's flag and representing India at those games. So unfortunately, but I
I'll
won't be able to
record
get.
it. I'll record
Sorry.
it on mobile and send it to
Sure,
you.
sure. Yeah, please do that. I will preserve it. I will preserve it in the large collection of these stories that I am now keeping. So yeah, so it is important. It is important to follow. It is important to invest in sports. It is important to watch as many athletes as possible. It makes you learn what is happening in India in sports. And if sports have to grow, organizations like Sanja will keep playing their part. And they have to play their part because then they produce athletes like Adil, they produce athletes like Arif. Adil himself is we have talked a lot about Arif. I have also interviewed Adil. He himself is a champion athlete, two-time world record holder. So, and going places. So, thank you so much for this conversation. Thank you so much for the work that you are doing, supporting such athletes and producing. As you said, the focus is to produce role models, to turning them into role models so that they inspire the next generation of heroes. And yeah, it is cool to work in sports. That is what I believe. So thank you so much,
Yeah.
and I believe that you are coming here in India. So hope to catch you soon.
Yes, very soon.
Thank you.
It's my
Thank you
honor.
so.
It's my honor to be on this podcast. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you so much. Okay. Bye. That was my conversation with Vasundhra Magotra, founder of Sanja Foundation. Sanja has helped Arif Khan, who's set to represent India at this Winter Olympic Games. How did you like this conversation? Let me know in the like the video, share it with your friends and family members, and make sure that if you have watched this video till the very end, make sure that you also follow Winter Olympics. You search, unfortunately, as I said in my introduction, that here in India, we won't be able to see Winter Olympic Games, but make sure you put in the efforts to follow Winter Olympic Games through internet and follow Arif, how he's performing, and make sure you also extend your support to organizations like Sanja because it is important. Yes, while we expect governments and private organizations invest in the sports ecosystem, organizations like Sanja also play a key role. They are at the end of the day, they are philanthropic organizations. They are not they don't get anything out of it. So we should be aware about such organizations that support the athletes because as Vasundhara said in her interview that it is all about creating role models and uh, supporting the athletes who have seen some really tough times. So it was my so through this conversation, I wanted to bring to you the story of Sanja, Arif's journey, and uh, inform you about the organizations like Sanja and the kind of work that they are doing. Please support my channel, and if you keep supporting my channel, I will keep bringing to you such fascinating stories from the world of sports. Thank you so much.